All right, the next step here is with Google Sheets is analyzing distribution part 2. And even if you weren't present for part 1, you can still do part 2. And even if you were present for part 1, you can still do part 2. So no matter whatever reason you might be absent, whether you were here for part 1 or not, you can still do part 2. All right, so let's take a look at this. This will be the same for first and fifth hour, but I'm just going to use fifth hour to demonstrate. So if I go to fifth hour and I go to classwork and I'm looking at Tuesday right here, and there are two things. There is a handout. Now, I will admit that the handout, when you look at it, it has a description and getting started, how you're going to get started. And then when you get to the instructions, oh my goodness, that looks like a lot. It looks a little overwhelming. There are what, 19 different steps there? Woo, seems like a lot. And and so I don't know if the handout will really be the big thing to help you. The big thing to help you might be watch this movie, watch this video, stick with it, watch the movie. It'll show you how to do it. The other thing you're going to need is a copy of the sheet that's right here. And I'm using period 5 to demonstrate. If you're in period 1, it's going to be a little bit different, slightly different, but if you just follow the idea, you'll be okay. Now, I think what I'm going to do, let's see if I can just click this and then just go File, Make a Copy. That's what I'll do. All right. I don't want to mess up the original, so I'm going to make a copy of it. And so once again, I'm using fifth hour. So if you're in first hour, in the first hour class, this list of names is going to be different. It'll be probably longer. So you have to adjust a little bit if you're in first hour. Okay. But you can do it. You can just kind of follow the idea. All right. So what we've got here is that, in part 1, everybody got a bag of M&Ms. And if you weren't there for part 1, you didn't get a bag of M&Ms. Well, guess what? I got a bag for you. Whenever you get back, if you'll help me remember, I'll give you a bag of M&Ms. I have one for you. You just weren't able to be there to get it on part 1. Okay. But what we've got here, is all the people who are present, and what we did, in case you missed it, we made some guesses about how many red, green, blue, yellow, orange, yellow, brown M&Ms would be in the bag, and then we actually counted how many were in there. What we're doing is tracking the distribution of these M&Ms. Looking at questions like, what's the most common color? What's there more of than anything else? How many M&Ms do you usually get in a bag? Things like that. And we're going to use the spreadsheet to help us do it. We said yesterday, or we said in part 1, that testing one bag only would not be enough. We need to test as many bags as we can. So that's what this is right here. We tested as many bags as we could in fifth hour yesterday. Everybody who was present did their own bag of M&Ms. All right, so here's what we're going to do with this today. We have a little bit of formula writing. A little bit of formula writing, and I was just thinking about a lot of things there. So a little bit of formula writing and a little bit of formatting, and you're going to be good. So let's look at what we're doing. In fifth hour, Macy is going to be kind of an important person because she's first. And the way it turned out, because of some people being absent, Danny Tyler is going to be last. And first and last becomes kind of important when you're doing some formulas, because like this number right up here and this number right here, again, they become kind of important. And so like in this case, B8, that's cell B8, Macy's red M&Ms, and B23. All right, those numbers are going to be kind of important. It's Macy and Danny, and then everybody else in between kind of gets included in it. And you'll see what I mean if you just keep watching. All right, so now here's the first thing we're going to do. For Macy, we're going to find out. We're going to go right across here. Just start with her red M&Ms, go to her brown M&Ms, and let's just calculate how many M&Ms did Macy get in her bag. So I'll go up to that sum, or to that formula thing up here, the weird letter E, and I'm just going to calculate a sum. I'll press enter right there. It tells me that she got 54, and it's asking me, do I want to autofill that down? Well, yes, sure, I would love to do that. Now, it actually autofilled down into some cells where we don't need it, and we'll fix that later. All right, so there we have, well, one thing we've calculated is we've kind of answered the question, how many M&Ms do you get in a bag? Well, it's not always the same, but you sure can't say it's probably going to be in the 50s, can't you? I mean, look at the results that we got here. All of these bags of M&Ms are in the 50s, and occasionally you'll get a bag that gets up into the 60s, but usually it falls in the 50s. And what do we got here? DJ. Man, and really DJ and Danny and Lindsay and Macy, looks like you got the shortest end of the deal here because you got the 54s. You didn't get quite as many M&Ms. Wah wah, sorry. Who's this? Grayson, 58. 58 M&Ms in that bag. Look at that. Grayson is rocking it because she got 58 M&Ms. Lucky her. All right. Now, the next calculation that we're going to make here are, if you'll look down on line 24, and again, if you're in period 1, it'll be a different row because there's more names. You just have to look where it says color total and kind of look, and then we're going to work right next door here. And what we're going to do here is I want to know, okay, so if we were to, as a class, say how many red M&Ms did we have? Now, let's take all of our red M&Ms and just add them up. All right, well, that's easy. Right, that's easy. We just start up here with Macy and we just drag down here to Danny. And again, if you're in first hour, you'll start up here with the first name and drag all the way down to the last name. And then we're just going to do a sum. That's all we're doing is adding those up. So we'll just do a sum and we're going to press enter right there. And it's wanting to fill down. We don't want to do that. All right. So no, don't want to do that. Don't want to fill down. So this is adding up that we got 114 red M&Ms. So what I'm going to do there is click on where it says 114, grab that little duplication handle and pull that over. And I'll just do it like that. All right, and I went over all the way over to column H over here because that autofill that we did on the total over here kind of put some formulas in here that we don't really need. All right, so there we go. So now we're starting to see, okay, which colors did we have more of? We're starting to get an answer to that. In fifth hour, it's right here, it was orange. Blue wasn't very far behind, and then it kind of drops off a little bit after that, right? Orange and blue seem to be the most dominant colors. In this class, they were. First hour, it might be different. I don't know. We'll see. Orange and blue, the most dominant. And then you got green coming along here. And then it drops down to red. And then it drops down to brown. And poor yellow trailing along at 94. All right. So, and orange and blue, interesting enough, are complementary colors. Did you know that? They are colors that always look good together because they're what they call complementary colors. Maybe, just maybe, the M&M people did that on purpose. All right, let's go on. Now, right here, if we find and again, on period 5, it's on row 25, but on period 1, might be a little bit different, right? You got to find the label for average. And then we're just going to have to write this formula, folks, because I can't like drag down here and then say, okay, give me an average. That won't work. I can't do that because I've got that 114 in the way. So in this cell right next to the word average, I'm going to have to do that whole equals, A-V-E-R-A-G-E, parenthesis. Okay, now, what do we say? We said that certain numbers were important here. Macy's red M&Ms are at B8. Now we need that punctuation mark that we use in situations like this. That's a colon, shift, and right next to the letter L, it's double dots, not the dot and the comma, double dots. And Danny's red M&Ms are at B23. Now again, you're going to have to adjust that a little bit if you're in first hour. You're going to have to look at where the red M&Ms are. You're going to have to do it maybe a little bit different numbers, but it'll work. All right, so B23. So when I type that formula, if I look, the Google Sheets is highlighting and saying, okay, I'm going to use these numbers right here. This is what I'm going to calculate with. Is this good? It's kind of saying, is this what you want? And yes, it is. So I'm going to close those parentheses and I'm going to press enter. Now, it did not, and it's good, it did not ask me, do you want to autofill down? Because I don't want to autofill down. I am going to want to autofill across, however. Now here's a little something that you can do if you want to. This came up 7.125 on mine. Yours probably will be similar. Right up here on the toolbar, you can either increase or decrease decimal places. If I click increase decimal places, it's adding some zeros there. If I click, 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 it's adding some zeros. Or if I hit decrease decimal places, I'm click, 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 and it'll round a little bit. Do you see how that went from, see how it says 7.125, and then when I decrease it, it goes to 7.13. It's smart enough to know the rounding rules. 0.125, if we're not going to show that 5 and we want to round it, it would be 7.13. And I could decrease it again, right? There's 7.1, or I could take it down to where there's no decimals if I wanted to. So you can kind of do whatever you want with that. Maybe I'll leave it at 2 decimal points, 2 decimal places. You can kind of do whatever you want with that. All right, and now I'm going to take where it says 7.13 there, and I'm going to duplicate it over. Boom. And I get over here the average number, and this is again where you get some questions answered here. How many M&Ms do you usually get in a bag? This is a good answer to that question. About 55. Yeah, 56. Maybe if you round that up, it would be 56. All right, so let's go on here and do our next formula that we have here. There's a spot that says lowest. All right, so the question we're asking here is, what was the lowest number of reds? Now, I know it's not that hard to figure it out. You can look and figure it out. It's right there. Grayson only had 5. But the whole point of this whole series of lessons on Google Sheets is learn how to make the computer do things for you. And then when you later, if you ever wind up in situations where the math is more complicated or there's a lot more numbers, then you kind of know what you're doing. All right, so here's how this one works. Again, we're going to have to write the formula. We start with equals. Okay, there's a thing that Google Sheets knows how to do called min, M-I-N. And what it means is just find the smallest number. It's minimum. It means minimum. So I'm just going to type equals min. I'm going to start a set of parentheses here. And again, we're looking at Macy's red M&Ms. We want to start there with Macy's. All right, so that was B8. And it works the same rules as I've done before. It's a colon right there. Use the shift and double dots. And then Danny's red M&Ms are B23. Close those parentheses. All right, so look at that formula. And again, see, it's highlighting and showing me, okay, I'm going to go find the smallest number in this group of numbers right here. That's what that orange dotted box means. The computer is saying, I'm going to go hunting for the smallest number in this box that I have right here. And it's kind of saying, is that good? Is that what you want me to do? The answer is yes. I'm going to press enter right there. And it found it. All right, we said it's not hard to figure it out. Grayson had 5, and we could see that, but it got it right. All right, so now I'm going to click and drag that over. And you know what? I should, because 32 is not the, I'm going to Control Z undo that, and I'm going to drag it over all the way. Boom, there we go. Drag it all the way over to column H so that it gets, because this is correct here, this 54 is the correct number there. Okay. All right. You know what? I'm just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to make sure that, all right, yeah, I had that right. Okay, now this next formula is a similar thing. We're going to find the highest number. And again, it isn't hard to tell. Alicia had 10 red M&Ms, and you can see it. You can tell it jumps out, especially since it's double digits. But we're going to write the formula that tells the computer to go find that. So it starts with equals, and I bet you can kind of guess this. It's not min, it's max, because we're looking for the biggest number. So we're going to say equals max, and this is right next to that label that says highest. All right, so in period 5, it's going to be on row 27. On period 1, it's going to be on a different row, but it'll be right next to highest there. Start a set of parentheses. Where are Macy's red M&Ms? B8. Then you got to put a colon. Where are Danny's red M&Ms? B23. Then you got to close your parentheses. And again, Google Sheets is doing what it always does. It's got that orange dotted box saying, okay, I'm going to go find the biggest number in this set of numbers. Is this what you want me to do? Answer's yes. Going to press enter. And we knew that was going to happen. We knew it was going to find the number 10. So I'm going to go back to the number 10, and I'm going to click and drag all the way over to column H there. And again, it's telling us here that it's confirming for us that the highest number in a bag of M&Ms was 58. And that was Grayson, we said, in fifth hour. All right, now our last calculation here is the range, and that's going to be between highest and lowest. Please pay attention to this. What we want to do here is take the highest and subtract the lowest, and don't do the math in your head. All right, don't sit there and say, well, 10 minus 5 is 5, and then just type a 5. Don't do that. Do you hear me? Don't do that. The whole point of this series of lessons is to make the computer do it. Even if the math isn't hard, make the computer do it. All right, so let's see how you do that. It starts with equals. They all start with equals, don't they? All right, so it starts with equals, and the highest, that highest where it says 10 right there. Again, it's going to be a little bit different for period 1. You have to think. All right, but that number 10 right there is in B27. I'm looking at the column and the row, and it's in B27. So I'm just going to type B27. Every time we're finding a difference, we are subtracting. We've talked about that. That number 5, the lowest number of red M&Ms, is in B26. So I'm just going to type B26. So in the fifth hour example here, study up what that formula looks like. It says equals B27 minus B26. And I'm just going to go ahead and press enter. And it is. It's correct, right? It did the subtraction. 10 minus 5 is 5. But don't do the math yourself. Make the computer do the math for you. Take that duplication handle, drag it all the way over, and now we have our difference calculated. Yay. Okay, now we are down to the end. We've done all of the, we have some answers, right? We have calculated, we've taken data that we gathered, and we have some answers. We know how many bags or how many M&Ms you had in your bag and how your bag compared to everybody else's bag of M&Ms. And we've figured out, okay, well, in fifth hour, orange was the most common. Wasn't too far away with blue, 218 and 209, so that's pretty close. Certainly the two most common colors there, but then there's a drop-off, right? Green is way down here at 150, and you got averages here. So those averages, on the average, 13.6 and 13.06 here for blue. They're really close. All right, this will be a shock. You have to format this a little bit. All right, you're going to have to, that's part of my requirement today. I'm just a slave driver. It's awful, isn't it? You're going to have to get in here and, use and do it however you want to do it, but you're going to have to get in here and use some fill colors, maybe throw in some borders, and you might, I don't know, it's going to be kind of up to you. I might center some numbers in there, take all of it. I kind of like to play with fonts. I like this font right here, but it needs to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it a little bigger, kind of like that. I might, just for kicks and giggles, do something a little bit different. On the on those, and then change that text color to like a light gray. And you know what? I might try out right justifying those, and I want these color words up here, no, text color, to be like a light gray there as well. Okay, all right, let's lighten that up just a little bit more. Okay, bingo, look. I did it. I have formatted it. So that's it. That's the mission of the day. We're taking our data that we worked with and doing some calculations based on the data that we gathered and getting all that squared away. And I've led you through all of that, and then got to format it some, and then you can turn it in. All right, go to it.